was working on with Klesiv. It's a small town, mining town, with 4,500 people near the borders, and the biggest near city is Rivne. It's a mining town, so in the town exists a lot of quarries where a lot of people are working, and also in Klesiv is a low building town. It's mainly 1-2 storage buildings, and a lot of people have to live together with their families. And in Klesiv exists a team. It's a Greco-Roman it's called wrestling team, but not enough placing for team sports. Also in Klesiv exist lakes. They appear after cease to mining granite, and they were flooded. Now it's a place for rest and tourists where people can walk and swim there. Many issues of our town. It's mono-economy town where mainly product of granite, which mining, environment degradation and health issues. There exists also a pile of dust from granite mining and spoiled tips also, and a lot of people have a problem with health and breathing. Homogeneous demography in shrinking population. So as I told, a lot of people have to live together with their families. So they demand for new places for living, and flooding. And our main goal is from extraction to regeneration, and to become a Klesiv more healthy place for living.
Okay, so quick analysis. We start with the economy and demography of Klesiv. As we mentioned, it's a mining city, so as you can see, there are few big quarries in the region, and 85% of the economy of Klesiv comes from this mining. There are a few small private enterprises, bakery factory, but there, as you can see, there are 5% of the industry, and only 10% of the industry go to the wood chopping enterprises. So, as we mentioned a few times, the economy is mainly from mining, and that makes the population also, most of the population also work in this industry. The environment of Klesiv, as we mentioned, has some dusting problems with the air that comes from the quarries, from the soil tips, because of the average direction of the wind that we managed to research. As you can see, the dust from the biggest quarries in south goes directly to the residential area, so therefore that's one of the problems that we're going to work on later on. Another big problem is that all of the road system in town has a canal next to it. However, the canals are not permeable and also not very deep, so that often results in flooding. The terrain in Klesiv is also pretty low, like here in the Netherlands, and so there are also few, as you can see, the red dots, potential places for flooding. So those are the areas of Klesiv that are most likely to be flooded. Therefore, this area will be key elements later on. So, what does neighborhood means in a 4,000 inhabited town like Klesiv? As we mentioned, a neighborhood should be more than just about the tangible, more about just the physical. It should be about the relationship. And currently, the relationship of the people and the environment in Klesiv is pretty much one-way interaction. They are very dependent on the mining industry and quarries. And what we want to do is that we want to achieve a neighborhood created due to a network of interdependency, of diversity, of more places where people can connect with, and to be fostered by diversified economies and sustainability education. As you can see, the mining of granite will be completely removed, and it will be complete through the other steps. Also, it will be implemented tourism, education, local production and recycling, and of course, innovation.
So, how can we make Klesiv a healthy town? We have 4 pathways to achieve this, 4 goals. We want to create healthy communities in Klesiv. We want to curate a clean environment. We want to build climate safety for the city and its residents, and achieve a self-sustaining economy that can propel Klesiv into the future and forever. So, we will achieve this with a 2-step vision. The first, happening by 2030, will be to make Klesiv's current state of operations more healthy and sustainable. This will be accomplished mostly through mitigation measures that will make mining operations less toxic for the surrounding community and to make it more collected. And by the middle of this century, we want to make Klesiv transition beyond mining. We want it to be a fully sustainable economy, one that does not extract and pollute the earth, but one that gives back. So, our 2030 goals will be achieved through a myriad of different pathways, namely diversifying the granite industry, and we want the granite industry to not just be cleaner, but also have multiple uses, such as using heat from the quarries that can be reused locally. We want to put in mitigation measures, namely a row of windbreaker trees that will prevent all the wind carrying dust from the spoil tips from polluting the surrounding town. We want to start also reclaiming abandoned quarries into recreational areas that can be used for the city and its residents, and create connected green-blue network for ecology and slower traffic. This will help protect against flooding and also make it just things nice and calmer within the city. And by 25th, and part of how we're going to do this is through creating defined neighborhoods through hierarchy. As it was mentioned before in other great presentations, Ukraine doesn't really have a concept of neighborhoods. And we think that it might be good to introduce this concept into Klesiv. So we're going to create 3 distinct, but not removed, neighborhoods in Klesiv, each with its own identity that can help bond residents together and also pave the way for a bigger and more expansive tourism industry. And by 2050, we're going to have Klesiv move beyond mining. The mining will no longer be a part of its economy. It's no longer focused on extraction. It's now focused on giving back, on regeneration. So after things become depolluted, we're going to have housing expansion across derelict quarry sites. So we can solve that housing crisis that Klesiv is going through. We have local recycling to really make it a circular economy that we've all been talking about here. I think it's a pretty concurrent theme. And it's going to be a recycling and innovation hub for granite processing, since Klesiv is now all about recycling and reusing what it once consumed. And we're going to really hone in on those climate resilient green-blue sites on quarries to make Klesiv prepared for the new climate paradigm.
Okay, and as closing statement from our group, we as urbanists, we often have big dreams when we talk about urban development, but these big changes may seem often scary for the people from the society. So what we wanted to say as an important point that needs to be taken into consideration is that change should start from changing the mindset of the people, from allowing them to accept this change and to see it as something positive and not as something scary. So the foundation of our development for Klesiv will start from the people and with the people. And thank you.
Thank you for, we have some time for questions, but maybe if you allow me, I walk over. Is this a scenario that you would look forward to?
Так, дякую. Я дуже задоволена цим сценарієм. Ми будемо використовувати його в подальшому для реалізації наших мрій, щоб наша громада дійшла до тих рішень, які будуть найкращі для наших людей. Дякую.
Thanks a lot. I'm very satisfied with your approach, and our neighborhood, our community will try to implement this in order to achieve the maximum result.
Thank you. Anybody else with a question for the group? Yes, please. Elena.
Can you maybe ask if Vlodco or Nicola would like to comment?
That's fantastic. Somebody on the screen would want to comment.
Because Vlodco's project, he was online part of the group.
Oh, that's fantastic.
They've just got to unmute.
I'm not sure they can hear us.
They need to unmute to be able to say something.
How did you do this before? Can somebody text him to that he can maybe say a few words? Oh, you're texting him now?
Yes.
Maybe you can ask in Ukrainian.
Vlodco чи Микола, є у вас якісь питання? Якщо є, увімкніть мікрофон, будь ласка.
Thank you. We understand what you're talking about. Secondly, we have an option to raise a hand. So I really like the presentation of Klesiv, and I was just thinking that how interesting it will be interesting to compare the presentations of a small town, mining town like this, with regional center which we were working with. So I was looking at these neighborhoods of a small mining town in the western parts of Ukraine. I had to Google where is it, and now I know where it's going. So for me it was interesting to compare with what we were doing in Sketch.
Fabulous. Well, it looked incredible, and I'm so sorry. Oh, okay. I'm very impressed by all the presentations in terms of the amount of research that you have brought to us, but also amazed by the landscape quality of the region also. My question is, it's bordering on what and if it's still architecture, but usually with mining towns, the identity is the mining, right? And how do you imagine we could change the mindset towards a broader understanding? You can both maybe say.
Well, as we mentioned, we want to implement a new economy based on tourism. So when the mining is gone as an industry, we still want to use it as part of the cultural heritage of the city. And actually, these different neighborhoods that we mentioned with different identity will be based on the different industries that are located in these neighborhoods. So instead of entirely changing the path of the city and completely forgetting about this past, we want to use it to actually bring more people to the city and open it for more people to know the city.
Yes, and great question. And I would say that from our slides, if you remember, we also have one of our goals is to also have granite recycling be a part of the city culture. Information for us to be a knowledge hub about granite recycling. So a lot of it still is related to granite, to the process of the mine. The mine is always going to be there. There might be a green space, might be something different, but it is hard. It's going to always be a mining town. Just now, it's a mining town ready for the 21st century.
So then the miners become the stewards of the landscape to a certain extent, and the landscape itself can, let's say, maybe depict a different future for us. I thank you very much for this inspirational presentation. Have a seat. Okay, if it's okay, since we're running slightly late, I would like to keep on going, and the person that needs to go to the restroom can just leave the room and come back. Is that all right with everyone? If not, speak up now. To get some energy, maybe the group that has already, the three groups that have already presented, can you applause for the groups that are now going to present? And that would be people and community first. Please come forward.
Hi everybody. We will tell about Akhtirka and neighborhood Dachny, and our focus is people and community first. We will talk a lot about it, and I will introduce our beautiful team, and we'll give you a microphone for a few minutes. So we work with Akhtirka. I will not stop a lot to tell about the city, but it's a small, beautiful, very big city with culture, huge heritage, and it is near a Russian border, and this city has the typical structure of Ukrainian city, so it's a small city center with a lot of greenness around the city and near the city, and a lot of private housing. And during the war, Akhtirka was a very like a strong city that stopped Russian army, but of course some part of the city was destroyed, and our district that we worked with was a little bit destroyed also, we would have it after, and our neighborhood located near the city center, and you see this picture of this typical Soviet micro-district with this like a unique heritage, and we research about this neighborhood in the scale of the city, so how can it work with mobility, how can it work with greenness, and how can it work with other functions, and we make some proposals and decision about it, and some important point about Akhtirka and this district that near Akhtirka it's an embassy, green network like a Natura 2000 in Europe, so it's a big, huge potential with greenness, and it's a big question for the city how they can have this connection with green and with nature, and with river also. And I will push a microphone.
Great, thank you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our process over the last few days. And so our team kind of went through a design process that really centered with placing the people and the communities of Dashni of at the center of our work. So we started with an analysis of a participatory process that occurred in the city and in the neighborhood, as well as kind of conducting our own brainstorming session based on the focus of this workshop, of the brief, and what we envision as healthy and future-proof neighborhoods, and then also incorporating the more specific kind of needs, difficulties that were in the neighborhood that included, specific requests for wider sidewalks, bike lanes, and that kind of thing. So really connecting that to what we see as the city overall. There was a strong theme of kind of interpersonal relationships, having the neighborhood serve as this kind of transition between the private life and the urban public. And what that means is making sure that you have a feeling of safety and comfort that can be provided by connections to other people, to spaces where you can engage in culture. Arts and music is really important in the city, sports, leisure, that kind of thing. And so this all kind of concluded us to 6 primary vectors of our design process, which included a focus on opportunities to meet people, access to the natural environment, so enhancing green in the neighborhood, and also connections to green throughout the city. So really thinking about the mobility, those connections to nature, to the city center and the amenities, a feeling of safety within the neighborhood, and having a functional mix. So making sure that you have a diversity of uses, can serve a diversity of people, consider for different age groups, different demographics, and then also thinking about, given the context of the destruction that's happened in the city and also within the neighborhood, how we can think about buildings in the future. And so this kind of, culminated in a large-scale strategy that spatially placed these design interventions within the district itself, thinking about the city and the river, and also thinking about timescales in terms of what can be kind of implemented in the shorter term and how this can then serve as a longer-term vision. And so we'll just talk through kind of these strategies and how they manifest spatially.
So first of all, we decided to focus on the most important things to improve the neighborhood, and this thing is to change the attention from cars to people first. As you can see at the diagram, we can actually see the main roads to the city center, but why on the scheme there is everything in red is that it's actually all the territory for cars. Like there is no specific territory where cars can go only. So people are parking everywhere. And in our proposal, we define some spaces for cars from the main roads and actually creating the green, totally pedestrian corridor inside of the neighborhood. And these changes led us to understanding that the space inside of the neighborhood actually has some zones where we have the central line where people can meet and enhancing this green line of meeting people, and also we have some spaces which were configured by the buildings. Here we can see the references for that main corridor, green corridor inside of the neighborhood. And regarding green connections?
And now we are talking about green connections, about how can we involve people to join nature, to be part of nature. And we find out that there is a river in this city, but there is no way to join the river, and also the forest. Also, there is no possibilities of walking in
in this forest, and we choose to make to the direction a pathway to this river. On this slide we can see this this part. This is forest, and we create different three ways how people can join the forest, and we created one way to join, and one pathway is walk in nature, and this is can be walking with natural coating, and other one is asphalt road, and this can include bike, scooters, and this is possibility for people who has disabilities to walk in there and also to join nature. And also one part is small road, and this small road include some funny objects, and this road can be used for small children to involve them and to learn them how to join nature, how to walk in the forest, and with a lot of different areas to be involved, not just boring in the forest. And also we created three different spaces for more active area for play for kids, and other area also playing area and the picnic area, but this area more for the rest, and middle area to split the group of children for possibility to be to have more active games and to fight games. There is also not only the river, but also the lake, and this is also the part of the green forest, and we suggest to create a green forest where people can join forest in active way, and also some housing, boat station, and maybe the house for where people can drink coffee or tea after they join this part of forest. And also during the all this river, we suggest to build a pathway for walking and for bicycle, and also the activity can be changed, depends on season.
So proceeding with amenities from the river to getting back to the neighborhood. We thought a lot about the neighborhood itself and those spaces which were mentioned before, which became free from cars. So here on the map we can see that green corridor, which can be the meeting space for everyone. There can be some terraces. People can just walk around and gather and talk and chat and have these like green pathway to the city center further. During the analysis, we also noticed that here is the kindergarten and here is the school. So those courtyards, which appeared after removing cars, we decided to make them the area for children. So this is more playful area for small children. This is more close to the school, can be area for hanging out for more older children. This space is also like a small corridor itself, but we decided that we can make that spaces more quiet zones for older people. Also, in this space, it's first of all, it's quite huge. Second of all, there were already some sports facilities, so we decided to enhance it and provide more sports activities for people. And this corner is as it is as closest part to the city center. Also, in here we can see a hotel. So we decided to make this zone as the main attraction zone from all of the town and make it as event place. One more interesting thing, it is not shown really on the map, but in this corner, it is quite an industrial area and it is filled with the garages. And during our research, we spotted one small garage which young people decided to make into the club or bar. It is quite a famous one in the neighborhood, in the, I guess, in the whole town. So there are some proposals for that one to modify those garages and to enhance that, like corridors and boxes from garages into some interesting places for the communities. Because also Turkey is very known with its dancing and music evolved community. And this is also the reference for some quiet zones and enhancing, like example of enhancing green spaces inside of the neighborhood.
So it's a great idea. Yes, yeah. And I only clarify and do some conclusions about this, how we connect the people, the pedestrian roads. So we find some main and main connection and also the less connections, but it's fine to looking for the results for our idea. What we connected also for implement the next step in the short-term pilot project. So we are find these good connections between the city center and also our neighborhoods, and we provide this Dachny Boulevard and stretch this green connection to people for also for project bicycle roads and pedestrian roads. So and give possibility to people to go into the river and make this good good roads for have a good nice impressions. Yeah. So and the next to clarify, and we're going to the pilot project and also to clarify this green connection our neighborhoods with our courtyards and possibilities to people give this connection people to nature. So and about the pilot project.
So with some reference images of creating more space for pedestrians on the main roads. The last element of our strategy was how to deal with the buildings that are there now. It's a very typical Soviet neighborhood, and in that sense, because it's so recognizable throughout Ukraine, there are also good points in this. So we thought about not only not removing, but renovating, and with renovating, improving the qualities of the buildings themselves. So for example, adding balconies with wooden structures on the outside, but also opening up the ground floor for flex workspaces for the inhabitants, in all manner of needs to fill up. And then when the renovation is being done, also think about how rainwater can be collected on the roofs, which then can feed into these new green spaces in the public space. With the reference of green balconies and open pits. And we made this strategy for the near foreseeable future, whenever it can be sort of start. But we also thought about how we can create pilot projects with this idea of connecting people together in the public space that can actually already start next week. So our main strategy is to make car-free zones for people to interact. So we think about elements to place around these courtyards so that it's impossible for cars to go there, so you have a safe feeling for the pedestrians. And then going with the wishes of the people that live there and place elements for them to connect. And at the same time, this green structure, this river that's now inaccessible because it's on one hand polluted, so it's dirty, people don't want to go there, and it's completely overgrown, so it's not accessible because of the actual nature there. One of the pilot projects could be that a part of this natural area is being opened up for people to enjoy this green-blue jewel that's running through the city. And with that first pilot project, opening up a part of the river very close to Duchy and connecting it to the neighborhood, there also is space for a vision where the river that's flowing all the way through the city from east to west, west to east, from east to west, connects not only one neighborhood to the nature, but can also in that sense create a network that creates a connection between the different neighborhoods and between the neighborhoods and the city center. And in that sense stretching out throughout the city, connecting all these neighborhoods also to the bigger emerald network on the western side. And where this river is now flowing through the city and creates this opportunity from east to west, there are also lakes and other large green zones that could be connected, and in that sense create a network of green spaces where pedestrians and cyclists can go around the city, not having this conflict with cars on the big roads, and therefore creating a green-blue jewel in Praktika.
And with the green-blue jewel, we give an applause to the team of people